I'ma just flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walk.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 16th day of October 2023. Remember, today's show is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other podcasts that are right there throughout football, basketball, baseball, car racing. They got it all there at bellyupsports.com, so make sure you go check that out. Thank you for making us a part of your day each and every day when we get these out here Monday to Friday, and then regular shows with me and Dave on Mondays and Thursdays. Thanks for making us part of your day each and every day. Get back at her a little bit here. Great weekend in the world of sports. I was fortunate to see my brother this weekend and his wife. Nice catching up with them and seeing them again. They don't get to see each other very often, obviously, because he lives out in Vancouver and we got our busy schedules and everything's going on, but it was great to see them over the weekend. And hi to Mike and Trish. Great weekend in the world of sports. Lots going on. The NHL got going full bore. You had the ALCS beginning last night in Houston. You had a full slate of college football games and NFL football games, obviously, and then just your usual who knows what else is going on. But it's a great time of year, as we say over and over here again. This is the best time of year to be a sports fan here in North America and around the world, because everything that you can imagine is there on the docket for you. But let's start with the ALCS. It got going last night in Houston, Texas. 7th straight year the Astros have been in the ALCS. Last night, in-state rival Texas Rangers got going. Great game last night. A good old-fashioned pitching duel that you had there. It's just amazing to see that you had those two teams going on. The pitching duel, you had Justin Verlander and then Jordan Montgomery. They're both picked up from on the trade deadline. You had Montgomery picked up from the Cardinals. Imagine the New York Yankees said that Montgomery's not good enough to be a New York Yankee anymore. And imagine that he'd still be in pinstripes to be a very good look. And then Verlander, of course, coming over from the Mets. It was a great game. The whole thing was fantastic. The way it all turned out. Montgomery was obviously a little bit better than Verlander last night. Montgomery had a bases loaded jam in the 4th inning that got him. He got out of trouble with a strikeout. And then you had you had Verlander, who made 2 mistakes all night long. One was a home run that resulted from Leody Taveras in the 5th inning after the out that happened with Montgomery getting out of the inning. But it all turned out to be that was the turning point in the game. It was funny to see, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, Aroldis Chapman coming in from the bullpen in Texas last night, and both the long history that Chapman had with the Yankees in Houston, giving up the home runs and giving up everything, giving them one up to Altuve and everything in 2019, I think it was, but he hasn't had much success there. But you saw when Chapman was coming out of the bullpen, the crowd was going crazy in Houston because they thought they were going to get out of that game with a big win. But it turns out they kind of got the last lap, but it wasn't without a few clenched butt cheeks, I guess you could say, because Chapman gave up a very long fly ball that was caught in the outfield, in left field, to the deepest part of Minute Maid Park, and it doubled up Altuve when he got caught not tagging up at second, not returning. It was really close play that happened, but the umpires eventually they went to replay and got it right, and the Houston Astros went down 2-0 to the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers have that lead now, 1-0, which is always pivotal to win that first one. It was an exciting baseball game. There was a lot going on, a lot of action. Yeah, it's a 2-0 game. You might not think it was great, but there's lots of base runners. There was lots of action, some great plays by the outfielders, especially Texas Rangers guy Evan Carter. He was unbelievable. He made 3 or 4 great plays in the outfield, including that play on the Bregman long fly ball to throw it in second base, which wasn't what you normally do, but it was a big mistake by Altuve. Would have factored in. We'll never know the way it turns and the way baseball turns out. But that double play got Chapman out of that jam that he got himself into, and it was like I said, when Chapman comes on the mound at any time, especially in Houston, it never turns out very well for the visiting team. We all know the disasters that have ensued with the old Cuban Missile in Texas and everywhere else he's ever pitched. But it's going to get me interesting. I think it's going to be a very good series. They get going later on again this afternoon. I think a 2:00 start, Mountain Standard Time. Check your local listings, and then you have the NLCS getting going tonight with Bryce Harper and the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the underdog Arizona Diamondbacks. It's going to be great baseball to watch. Hopefully the game is as good as the game was last night. And these series get a little bit of juice because so far the playoffs haven't had a lot of juice to go along with them. They've been kind of lackluster. Nothing's gone past 4 or 5 games. Like it's just been 4 games, three games to 1, and then a lot of sweeps. Well, obviously we know the wild card was not just turned out to be nothing and the like. So hopefully these series get some juice. I don't think that the Arizona Philadelphia one, because Philadelphia's a juggernaut right now, but you never know. A little bit of pitching here and there, you might have a situation where you come back and the Arizona Diamondbacks can come out of nowhere and win themselves a NLCS and end up going to the World Series. I picked the Phillies in our Belly Up show that I had a few weeks back with Lou and Kevin, but we'll see if the Phillies can get me the soothsayer, the Nostradamus in me right for once. I usually don't do too well in the betting world of everything else. Getting out to the NHL, it's going on. You didn't think the Edmonton Oilers would be down 0-2 to start their season with 2 games against the Vancouver Canucks, but it had happened. Game 1, they obviously got blown out. The goaltending wasn't great, and then Skinner, he got to start on Saturday night in Edmonton. We didn't go to the game. We kind of bantered about going, but we got into doing something else. We never got doing that, going to the game. But the game of the night tonight probably is going to be the Chicago Blackhawks traveling
Auston Matthews, the man just cannot be stopped.
2 games so far where he has hat tricks. He's on pace for 246 goals still. I know it's not going to happen, but expect him to get his 3rd last night, which will be an NHL record, not just to start a season, but ever. Nobody in NHL history has ever actually gotten 3 hat tricks in a row to start the season. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Matthews can get it once again. If you're going to put a couple of bucks down it, I would, because you have a team in the Chicago Blackhawks who aren't very good, who give up a lot of shots. And Matthews, he seems to be on a bit of a scoring, obviously with 2 hat tricks start the season, 6 goals, 246 on pace for. You expect him to get that record tonight for his 3rd consecutive hat trick. It should be interesting to see, but I think that the other Leafs players will feed him. He'll get lots of power play time and everything else against Chicago Blackhawks, and expect to see Auston Matthews get that third straight hat trick, which would be something to behold. It's never been done in NHL history before, and to see that being done in front of the home crowd to start the season off, and it would get the speculation. And things are always big in Toronto, no matter what. People cheer and laugh and joke and everything else about what goes on in Toronto, and they're the center of the hockey universe. But there's something that with Matthews getting that kind of a streak going to start the season, it only builds the hype machine. And the hype machine I talked to earlier with Connor Bedard, I think that's going to subside a little bit. The kid's good. I watched a bit of that game on Saturday night with Montreal, and he can control the play. There's no getting around that. He's got a hell of a shot, but you think that's popular because he's popular thing is going to go away. If you're not winning hockey games, yeah, you can only put him on TV so much because eventually people tune it out. I wish people would tune out that Taylor Swift. Speaking of popular because she's popular, that's one thing I like. I like her music, but that's enough on the NFL front. And then she was on Saturday Night Live for no apparent reason the other night and everything else. It's become too much of old Swiftie. And once again, I gave her airtime. Not that we add to her algorithms any, but you think that the NHL is going to, the Connor Bedard algorithms and the search engine optimization is going to go away a little bit with Connor Bedard and the like. Let's get on to the NFL. Yesterday, there was a lot going on in the NFL. Obviously, NFL Sunday was big, but the big thing to me was that the officiating has not gotten any better. Yes, you should not depend on the officials to win yourself or lose yourself a football game, and one decision near the end of the game should not factor into those things. But there was 2 instances yesterday, one in a very in with the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants. At the end of the game there was a pass interference call that should have been called against Buffalo that wasn't, that would have resulted in another try. But right at the end of the game, that the pass interference was not called, and I do not know why there was a pass interference called just before that. There's conspiracy theories abound that Buffalo's going to get some calls because they're the next coming of whoever to get themselves to a Super Bowl and have that Buffalo fan base and Josh Allen and the like. But there's such nobody knows what the calls are, and nobody knows how to make the calls and what they're supposed to be. And then another one yesterday, my San Francisco 49ers ended up losing a football game because of a hit that was made that I didn't think was a late or vicious or what's a personal foul, whatever they ended up calling the thing, a defenseless receiver. I thought it was a good hit, a clean hit. It was a hard football hit. Yes, it was violent, and yes, it was tricky, but I don't think it was dirty by any means. It ended up being a 4th and 10 situation. It ended up being a first and 10 situation with the ball moved up 15 yards. Now, I'm not the biggest knowledge guy of the NFL and their rules, but it just seems to me there seems to be just such a disconnect between the coaches, the players, the officials, the fans, the announcers, and everybody. And I don't think that there's enough onus put on the officials to post game to make the what they made the call, why they made the call, what they saw compared to what the camera saw, and everything else. And I think the NFL really has to crack down on that, because there's such a large betting fan base that is involved in the National Football League, and they are in bed with all these different sports betting apps and sites and everything. So the NFL has I think they have a right to the fan bases to make their officials more accessible post game to say, hey, like this is what I saw. This was the penalty, because they have those guys that talk when a penalty is assessed, and the guys do their how come, not yes, no, maybe so. I can't remember the guy's name that was on Fox yesterday, but they usually do a pretty good job of detailing and telling why it's a penalty and why it wasn't a penalty and what the rules are, because most fan base, like I'm one of them, most fans don't know what's going on with the penalty calls, because like I said, those 2 calls yesterday were egregious, and that they weren't penalties that should have been called. One was, one wasn't, but it turned out to be major things in those 2 football games that I watched yesterday. And you have a situation where teams are losing games or winning games because of those calls. And yes, you shouldn't leave it in the officials' hands at the end of it when it's all said and done, but you should try to get business done in the meantime and in between time. But it's one of those things where I think the officials need to be interview post game and say, hey, this is the call, and then everybody would have more of a knowledge as to why it's called that way and what's going on, and then we won't get those conspiracy theories about, like it was 2 years ago, whatever it was, when the people were talking about the NFL being scripted, because when that Buffalo one, that stunk to high hell. The football game wasn't good to begin with. Like, it was a terrible game. I had it on the other TV while I was watching the baseball game. The game wasn't good. It wasn't entertaining. Buffalo, to me, are kind of fraudulent and everything else, but it was a bad call at a bad time. And if they make that call in the first quarter, nobody really says anything. But when it comes to deciding a game like it did last night, because it was a bad look for the NFL, and it happens week in, week out. Yes, officiating's hard. There's no getting around that, because these guys go at such a high pace and it's so fast. But why some calls can be reviewed and some can't and everything else. And it just, nobody really knows. And yeah, maybe a guy's got to do a little more research, so he is in the know about what goes on and how it goes on and everything else. But it just looked like it was a bad look for me on that call, especially in the Buffalo game. And then the San Francisco one was just as bad. To me, it was a very good football hit. It wasn't dirty. It was violent, yes, but it was not dirty. And that one changed the course of the game. Yes, San Francisco had the chance at the end of regulation to win the game on a long field goal, but it was wide right, and the rest is history. Now there's no undefeated teams once again in the National Football League, because the Philadelphia Eagles, they also lost yesterday, and so now you have there was 2 teams left undefeated. Now the Miami Dolphins of 1972 can crack the champagne bottles once again, and that's it for the undefeated seasons from other teams. And Miami Dolphins, they can, like I said, Don Shula. I don't know how many of those guys are even alive anymore. It's a long time ago. That's a long time ago, actually, when you think about it. And so 51 years, that's never happened. It's crazy that's never happened before, how a team can go undefeated. Yeah, that New England team had a chance a few years back to do it. But let's move on to the last game of the weekend for me. That was supposed to be a showstopper. It was supposed to be must-see TV, but it turned out to be an absolute stinker. There's no getting around that. My USC Trojans, they
Southern Cal offensively a week ago.
to end up going to LX, to South Bend, Indiana. The problem is they forgot to bring their defense with them, and it was a terrible, terrible game for the USC Trojans. Notre Dame is not a very good football team. They already had 2 losses, but this just showed how fraudulent that the USC Trojans are. And then with the loss, 48-20, the Trojans are now officially out of playoff contention. They were never in it. Their last 3 games were really close with Arizona, Colorado, and who was the other one? Well, now they lose to Notre Dame, so they weren't going to be in any contention. With this loss, you also have Caleb Williams, who threw 3 interceptions in the first half, and that took him out of Heisman contention to be the only guy to win back-to-back Heismans. So that's it for that season. And now you have a USC Trojans, who are the most fraudulent team in football. There's no getting around that. They're an absolute tire fire. That defense is gross. They must have left that defense either at LAX or at the Coliseum back in Los Angeles, because it was awful. Notre Dame scored every which way possible on fumbles, on kickoffs, on interceptions, everything. It just was not a good night for the Trojans, and that's just who they are. And Lincoln Riley and the rest of the Trojan staff, they really have to do a long, hard look in the mirror and see what they're going to be doing for the rest of this season and seasons going forward, because you can't just outscore opponents. And in college football, as it was shown this weekend, yeah, you can put up numbers and everything else against the weaker teams, but when push comes to shove in college football, it's all said and done. So now you have a USC team who has Utah next week. I expect them to lose that game. And I thought they're going to be like a 10-2, 9-3 kind of team anyways, just because that defense has been so bad for so long, and they proved it again this weekend. It frees up my weekends. I don't got to watch that crap anymore. I mean, I'll watch it, but I won't need to be as invested, and it's not one of those things where if they beat this guy, that guy beats that guy, it won't matter anymore. So the USC Trojans broke my heart again. No national championship aspirations, and the biggest frauds in football next to the Dallas Cowboys are the USC Trojans. There it is. Thanks very much for watching the show on YouTube. For all those who tuned in, or on Facebook or Twitter who've tuned in so far, we appreciate all the work. If you listen up later on the podcast form on Apple or Spotify, thank you very much. But go over to our YouTube channel and press that subscribe button. Our numbers are going up, but they can always get better. There's all those 8 billion people in the world. Might as well be one of them who subscribe to our YouTube channel. Anyways, thank you very much to all who listen, and thank you very much to SeatGeek, our sponsor of the 1420 in the morning. Here's a little word from our sponsors at SeatGeek.
The foul baller. If there's a ball that's gone foul, he's gone to get it. Under his watchful gaze, all bevs, binoculars, and ballpark brats are safe. He's the only thing that stands between his section and certain destruction. That's why he only trusts SeatGeek with his tickets. The ticketing app trusted by fans. SeatGeek, so fans can fan.
Thank you very much to our friends at SeatGeek. Remember, use promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com today to save yourself $20 on your first purchase by using promo code 1420POD. SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app actually. So there it is. Let's do birthdays and on this days and get everybody out of here. Thanks very much. Happy 31st birthday to Philadelphia Phillies first baseman Bryce Harper, born on this day in 1992 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Harper was drafted in the first round, first overall out of the College of Southern Nevada in the 2010 Major League Baseball entry draft. Harper is a 7-time All-Star, including his rookie year of 2012, where he won the NL Rookie of the Year. He's also a 2-time MVP, once in 2015 with those Nationals, and again in 2021 with the Phillies. Harper has hit 306 home runs, 889 RBIs, 1,513 hits, has a career batting average of .281. He was the 2022 NLCS MVP with the Phillies victory over the San Diego Padres, and has a chance to get his team back to the World Series starting tonight when Harper and the Phillies begin their NLCS matchup with the Arizona Diamondbacks at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Happy birthday to one of the best baseball players in baseball right now, Bryce Harper. Man, I wish the Yankees would have went and got him. Sorry, my tune has changed in the last week or so about Harper. Man, that guy's a player, and he's a generational kind of guy, and he's led that Phillies team to heights that they probably didn't think they were going to be possible. And Trey Turner's hitting the ball and everything else, and they have a real shot at winning themselves a World Series, first one since 2008. I think it would be. Anyways, and this one's near and dear to my heart, everybody. on this day in 2003 at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. In Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, the New York Yankees defeated the Boston Red Sox in front of 56,279 people in a game the Yankees never led until the end, behind by as much as 3 in the 8th inning after being dominated by Red Sox ace and starter Pedro Martinez. Roger Clemens, starter for the Yankees, was highly ineffective on and gave way to Mike Mussina. In the 4th inning, Jason Giambi hit 2 solo home runs for the Yankees, and if that wasn't for Red Sox manager Grady Little, things would have turned a lot differently. He stuck with Martinez, if you remember that. Now that all turned out. Martinez gave up a leadoff double to Derek Jeter. Burn, baby, burn. Hit a double, and you had Hideki Matsui hitting a double. Then you had Jorge Posada with his double right there. What a series, what a game, the whole thing, 5-5, and that all gave way to Mariano Rivera pitching 3 scoreless innings to hold the game at 5, and then in the bottom of the 11th, there he is, Aaron Boone hitting the home run to send the Bronx faithful, the Yankee faithful, home in 11 innings with the home run, sending the Yankees to the World Championship, or on this day in 2003, one of the greatest series ever played, one of the greatest emotional roller coasters I've ever had as a Yankee fan, as a baseball fan, the whole thing. It's one of those ones you remember exactly where you were and how it all went down on this day in 2003. It's hard to believe it's 20 years ago, and you wonder how it all would have turned out if Mussina didn't have a great outing. You wouldn't even know who Aaron Boone was if Mike Mussina didn't come out of the bullpen and save Roger Clemens' ass. And yet, like, who would have pitched for the Yankees later on that night if it would have went 12 innings, because Mariano was already at his wit's end, I'm thinking, and how he collapsed on the mound. And it was just such an emotional series for both sides, and it was fun to watch. And you kind of had a feeling. I thought the Yankees were down and out in that game, but I remember jumping up and down when Boone hit that home run. And that home run, he would not be manager of the Yankees right now. And we don't want to get into the negative stuff of that, but it was a great series to watch, and it was a lot of fun 20 years ago today. Anyways, there's 14:20 in the morning. Friday went almost twice as long as 14:20, but it don't much matter. For those who listen, thank you very much, and we appreciate everybody who does listen, follows, and everything. Thanks to other podcasts who help us out. Jim at Fan of the Van, and Aaron at Brutally Honest, and Jalen and Garrett over at Two Dudes Sports News and everything else. Make sure you guys check out those shows, and then check out all the stuff out at bellyup.com, bellyupsports.com, and then check out the 1420sportsbar.com as well to check out our articles and everything that's going on there. We're expanding our little show. Things are getting moving here, getting some interns to help out, because it's a lot, but we appreciate all the help you guys give us on a daily basis here at 1420 World Headquarters. Anyways, that's it for the show, and remember, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have yourselves a great day, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Actually, me and Dave are doing one tonight, so we'll talk to you guys tonight, but then we'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you guys then. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.